Hi, and this is Gaze into My Crystal Ball, a look at management trends of the future. My name is Andy Fox, and I will be directing this little ride through the journey of current trends as well as trends in management that we will see within the next 10 years and beyond. To get things started, let's go ahead and kind of review what current management trends are in existence today. Globalization. Globalization is huge. Borders constantly are getting blurred and fall and opening doors for organizations and people to travel, to work for companies all over the world. It's providing new international opportunities as well, ultimately generating much more revenue within the global marketplace. Ethics, business ethics in particular, has taken significant strides in the last several years. There's a huge awareness and several initiatives to continue to maintain ethical standards within all industries, in particular communications. There is a level of ethical standards for your own organization as well as for your clients. And what those look like have continued to evolve and will continue to do so and be stricter and stricter as we or become more of the norm as we continue to proceed within the next 10 years. Workforce diversity, as we know, as the baby boomers are retiring and leaving the workplace, they're getting replaced with the millennials and with the Generation Z, young entrepreneurial spirit generations. These also, with what we're seeing specifically in the United States, is a huge increase in the Hispanic culture and women entering the workplace and staying in the workplace. So that will continue to build and continue to bolster for the years to come. As I mentioned, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is, and the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well and thriving. The younger generations are generally speaking jumping ship from company to company after 2 to 3 years, getting the best experience they possibly can out of an organization, and then going and taking that leap up to the next role, leaving that company. So that's going to continue. There are ways to counteract that, which we will get into a little bit later, but that is certainly occurring day in, day out in today's market. Knowledge management and learning organizations. What I mean by that is that knowledge management is it's the developing a culture of sharing knowledge from all levels of your organization, from top to bottom. It's exposing young entry-level public relations researchers to the top end level project managers, in thriving on that knowledge-based sharing. Learning organizations, it's constantly reinvesting into your people, giving them the skills that they need to continue to grow and hopefully bolster an entire organization or industry as they progress along in their career. Quality management, constant improvement of work processes, changing to meet the desires of the customer, not necessarily taking in this is the way we've always done it kind of mentality and methodology. It's fine-tuning, tweaking, changing, innovating all work processes in order to meet the standards and the needs of and wants or desires of each and every client. So a quick look at the next decade. Personalization. Managers are going to need to be much more personalized. The younger generations love face-to-face communication, despite all reports of being strictly technology driven. They enjoy that. They want that communication. They want that connection. And effective communication is ultimately going to change every day as new technology is introduced and as these young minds enter the workplace. It's going to need to be the blend between the Gen X, Gen Y / millennial, and the Gen Z, kind of what that best looks like. The Generation Z right now looks up to the millennials, see them as open-minded, creative, entrepreneurial spirited, and I mean, despite reports that they do believe that they are also lazy. So we do have a little bit of combativeness there as well. These will continue to kind of fester as the years go on, and the Gen Z really takes a larger role in the workplace since they are still kind of young and still new to the game. Millennials are entering leadership roles, and that will continue to bolster what that looks like with flexible work environments, relaxed dress codes, and remote business processes occurring day in, day out. Continue globalization. Globalization is gonna continue to increase, continue to diversify our workforce at home and abroad. We will have people moving to the U.S. to work places, and then we will have U.S. citizens moving overseas to work as well. Additionally, more people will stay at home and work from home, right from the luxury of their home environment, and be able to work from anywhere on anything throughout the entire year for a client overseas. Social responsibility, I believe, is going to be a huge aspect of the corporate environment as well as personal environment. What you can tell from the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation is that they really want to do something for the better. They want to make change for the better. They're not worried necessarily about making the change for their own individual lives, although that is certainly a part of it, always will be. But a larger global social responsibility, a community social responsibility, giving back, will continue to be a huge part of the corporate environment, and those organizations that do not have those outlets will perish as a result. The psychology, going to need to know how to engage these young generation minds in a much more spirited way. Engagement's going to be key in order for them to truly provide loyalty to an organization. They're going to need to know that, and and the managers are going to need to know how to dissect those moods, those environments, what trends they may be going for. Are they becoming disengaged? Why are they becoming disengaged? And can then counteract that quickly and effectively due to the psychological methods learned within managerial practices. So just to bolster that, what does this mean for managers? Cross-cultural skills. What I mean by developing cross-cultural skills in intelligence, it's that we are about to, as I mentioned with the culture differences, we're going to need to develop the ability for managers to adapt to any situation with any individual from cultural backgrounds at the click of a button. They're going to need to be that fast. As the workplace continues to evolve and continues to diversify, they're going to need to recognize what is the best behavior to exude in any given situation. Development of virtual collaboration techniques. Virtual being the opportune word there. You're going to need to know how to lead and engage with everyone on their team, regardless of their location and regardless of what they're actually doing. It's going to be an increase in remote jobs, and they're going to need to know how to virtually keep them engaged and wanting to learn more and wanting to perform their job to the best of their ability. Managers are going to need to adapt to new technologies and new effective methods of communication. Technology is changing every day, day in, day out. It's being released and invented, and that could ultimately change the industry itself, or just the method in which it's conducted. The amount of information is going to continue to increase. We are in a zettabyte world now, which is way too much information for any one individual to recognize. What managers are going to need to be able to do is to see through the fluff, get down to the nitty-gritty details that actually pertain to what they're doing, and be able to retain that or store that in a very easily accessible area, which is the beauty of the cloud. They can do that in order to access at any given moment. Ability to insight, motivation, and engagement. It's as I mentioned earlier, Gen Zs want that personal touch and the effective communication. Managers are going to need to provide support and to increase the chance of loyalty and longevity to where they won't just leave that job and take that next step after 2 or 3. Maybe they'll look for an internal promotion instead and continue to kind of build on the culture of the organization itself. Trust. Managers are going to need to trust people to get the job done. With the increasing amount of flexible work environments and remote locations, that day-to-day, face-to-face accountability is not always there. So they're going to need to get past that and understand that sometimes just because they're not there doesn't mean that the results aren't occurring. So the recommended approach for the future: development of a streamlined training opportunity. If all the facts are right and these individuals are jumping ship after 2 or 3 years, you're going to need to streamline bringing new people on board as quickly and as efficiently and effectively as you possibly can. If we're still in the day of 6-month training and they're going to leave after 2 years, that is a huge waste of time. I'm going to need to onboard managers with adaptability skills and just open to change, encouraged with innovation, not scared of it. They want new things to be presented to them on a daily or weekly basis, and they want to dissect them, research them, and see what's the best approach and have no problem implementing it. Research. We're going to need to research flexible working environments. What works? What doesn't work? What has been effective in this location but maybe not in this location? What globally, what office space is doing things that work so well, but they don't necessarily work well locally. We need to understand what that looks like from a global standpoint. Need to establish several community efforts. As I mentioned, the social responsibility piece is going to be a huge part of growth and what keeps young individuals involved and engaged. Need to encourage everybody to participate in each and every effort that the organization is making, whether it's a small local food bank or if it's a national organization with a 5K every year. You're going to need to implement new methods of communication beyond email or face-to-face, whether that is bolstering the social media, bolstering a instant messaging program. We need to make sure that new communication methods, the best way to reach everybody at any given moment, is available to every employee. Finally, I believe we need to onboard psychological and emotional managers. Like they need to understand what their people are thinking as they are working day in, day out. What's discouraging them? What's encouraging them? Where's the disengagement happening? Because they're only engaged half the time and then the other half they're not. Why? They need to be able to identify that, dissect that, and recommend a different approach for that particular employee in order to keep them. These are the resources that I've used to conduct this entire presentation. Thank you.
Good. It was a little long.